A more modern Miss Marple, the Twinkly Miss Marple, the 21st century Miss Marple, all these catchphrases are firmly attributed to the very special impersonation of this iconic character by this British actress with an elfin face and baby voice. Agatha Christie's female sleuth brought her worldwide fame in her 70s, yet shockingly, she decided to quit the signature part when at the peak. Why so? This is the intriguing life story of Geraldine McEwan.
Oh, Jane, I'm so glad you've come.
Dolly, what a terrible thing.
I know. Rather thrilling, isn't it?
Geraldine McEwan was someone you totally believe when she says that for her, acting has nothing to do with fame or fortune. I really and truly do it for the moment when I'm doing it. What an unusual take, right? Yet she's been proving that all her half-a-century-long career.
Powerful. Are you eccentric, may I ask? or would you just like to be and you kind of like living it out? Is she eccentric?
Ask me.
Tell me.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Born in 1932 in Old Windsor, 20 miles west of London in Berkshire, England, Geraldine grew up in a modest, working-class family. While many other actresses of previous generations are said to have fallen in love with acting when entertaining their families with impromptu performances in their living rooms, Geraldine was always a painfully shy and private girl. McEwan once confessed that she suddenly found her voice when she stood up and read a poem at a Brownie concert at age 9. I realized it was going to be a way in which I could manage the world. I could protect myself by losing myself in other people.
Give me a girl at an impressionable age, and she is mine for life.
McEwan's youth years corresponded with the Second World War. Her father was a prisoner of war, and the young girl and her mother were evacuated to the countryside and knitted clothes for refugees. Thanks to a scholarship, Geraldine attended an exclusive Windsor County girls' school, then a private school, where she was exceptionally good at maths.
Alaska. Alaska is bounded by the Arctic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Bering Sea, and Canada. So much for Alaska.
Nevertheless, she lacked confidence and didn't feel she really belonged there, and found refuge in poetry and drama, spending all her spare time at the town's Theatre Royal, where she began her theatrical career at just 14 as an assistant stage manager and small part actor. It was there in 1946 that she played her first full-scale role of an attendant fairy in A Midsummer Night's Dream. Apparently, her talent was noticeable already at that young age. Perhaps that's how she caught the attention of the former teacher turned stage manager Hugh Crotwell. They met when she was 14 and he was 28. And then married in 1953 when the bride turned 18. Crotwell would later become a much-loved and influential principal of the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, and what's most important, Geraldine's lifelong partner and father of their children. Unlike her husband, Geraldine didn't have any formal training. Curiously, this also distinguishes her from her three predecessors in Miss Marple's role: Margaret Rutherford, Joan Hickson, and Angela Lansbury. You may learn more about their fascinating life paths in my dedicated videos.
Wow, I've got some money in my pocket.
Oh, yes, I know where you're from. Mr. Walsh has been expecting you. He's not in at the moment, but it's quite all right for you to give me the money on his behalf.
Here, you got this all wrong. I'm not going to give you any money. I wants to see Mr. Walsh personal.
Nevertheless, the lack of a diploma didn't prevent McEwan from jumping from Windsor straight to the West End, where in 1951, at the age of 19, she made her debut at the Vaudeville Theatre in Who Goes There?, followed by an 18-month run in For Better, For Worse, and then starring in summertime light comedy alongside the superstar Dirk Bogarde in 1955. McEwan told Bogarde's biographer how he was both deeply encouraging to her and deeply conflicted over his star status. That was the first time she saw that negative side of a huge stardom, witnessing at first hand Bogarde's unhappy reaction to the screaming crowds of female fans bum-rushing the backstage doors. This being in demand from early on sort of forecasted Geraldine McEwan's career path of becoming primarily an accomplished theatre actress. In the 50s and 60s, she played Shakespearean classics opposite the charming Laurence Olivier. She was Ophelia in Hamlet, appeared in Twelfth Night and Much Ado About Nothing. With her Lady Teazle from the School of Scandal, directed by John Gielgud, she would make it to Broadway in her 1963 New York debut. You can imagine that there followed dozens of other notable stage appearances in the 1970s and 1980s, which all exploited McEwan's witty and mischievous and sometimes coquettish acting manner. A woman with an elfin face and baby voice, she played an enormous range of parts, worked together with iconic directors, and shared the scene with the most accomplished actors of her epoch, and was honored with 5 nominations for the prestigious Laurence Olivier Award. For her daring attitudes, some critics proclaimed McEwan heretical, while others would label her as revolutionary.
No, they just appeal to me, these very sort of offbeat, sometimes powerful and humorous women.
Through her husband, then the principal of RADA, Geraldine got connected to the most daring and innovative people in her profession, who, in turn, influenced her adventurous approach to stage art. For example, this turned into a true friendship with another future star of Agatha Christie's realm, Kenneth Branagh. As a result, McEwan turned out to be a surprise casting as the mother of a psychotic son who starts behaving like a wolf in Sam Shepard's merciless domestic drama A Lie of the Mind at the Royal Court in 1987. And in 1988, she directed As You Like It for Branagh's Renaissance Theatre Company, where Branagh himself was playing Touchstone as an Edwardian music hall comedian.
Today I am 40 years old and I have truly entered the years of my prime. I have come into the time of my own renaissance.
You see, when learning about her rather prolific career, I couldn't help but notice that more often than usual, her works on stage were labeled as brilliant but controversial. Or, for example, she followed someone's footsteps in some iconic roles, and no matter what she did as an individual, she was always judged against that someone who did it right, which in other words often meant did it better simply because was the first to do it. For example, McEwan was sometimes compared to Maggie Smith, not in the former's favor. No wonder McEwan succeeded Smith in roles in The Private Ear and The Public Eye in 1963 and later in Lettuce and Lovage in 1988. She also rivaled Smith as both Millamant and Lady Wishford in The Way of the World in 1969 and 1995. And the decade after Smith won her Oscar for the prime of Miss Jean Brodie, McEwan landed the same role on television in 1978.
You will soon become outstanding in the school. You will be, forsooth, Brodie girls.
Although she didn't get her award for that, the book's author, Muriel Spark, said that it was McEwan who became her favorite Miss Brodie in a cluster that also included Vanessa Redgrave and Anna Macy. Another example of controversy would be McEwan's Judith Bliss in Noel Coward's Hay Fever, which was directed as a piece of Gothic absurdism at the Savoy by Declan Donnellan in 1999. Or take her casting opposite Richard Briers in The Chairs, about two old people rushing about in a manic frenzy as they welcome illusory guests. For many, it came as a bit of a shock. McEwan brilliantly caught the maternal anxiety of a woman who sees herself as her doddering partner's guardian. For that part, she was later nominated for a Tony Award. So yeah, no wonder that once Geraldine became the new Miss Marple, she was once again labeled controversial. Not definitive, not canonical, even in your wildest dreams.
That would be jumping to conclusions.
By the way, have you noticed that we haven't spoken about her movies or TV series until this point? Well, of course there were some, mainly in the 90s and the early 21st century, yet these engagements were rather sporadical. Like, McEwan couldn't resist her friend Kenneth Branagh's proposal to take part in his Shakespeare adaptation Henry V and Love's Labour Lost. In the triumphant television version of Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit, McEwan played the mother whose religious fanaticism is suffocating her daughter. For this part, she received the BAFTA TV Award for Best Actress.
You come early. The signs have not aligned yet.
Well, you can stop all that, you old fake!
I will try for thee anyway.
In the Hollywood blockbuster Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, McEwan sparkled in the role of the witch Mortiana alongside Kevin Costner, Morgan Freeman, Sean Connery and Alan Rickman.
In Prince of Thieves, playing what was written in the script as an albino crone of 120 years of age.
I could just see you getting the script going, yep, that's the one for me.
I said.
I like
that's me. That's right up my street.
She would also appear in Peter Mullan's devastating critique of an Irish Catholic education, The Magdalene Sisters, in which she played cruel, cold-hearted Sister Bridget, and she also appeared in Vanity Fair with Kirsten Dunst.
Was Miss Mapp terribly tiresome all those months?
Tiresome is not quite the word.
Yeah.
Difficult, really.
Oh, and I forgot, McEwan also starred in television series in the mid-80s playing the role of Emmeline Lucia Lucas in Mapp and Lucia. This series was based on 1930s comedy of manners novels by E.F. Benson. Have you ever seen this production? I read a review that she was a definitive Lucia. Please share your opinion in the comments. And still, not much outside the theater, right? And then, suddenly, here comes Miss Marple. How so? In 2002, Geraldine McEwan lost her dear husband and a constant support in her life. This long goodbye, never to be seen again, has left an enormous hole. I needed to throw myself into something that would take up my energy and give something positive to think about.
Because when you're in love, you think you're invincible. It blinds you. And you don't seem to care.
She was trying to heal and recover from that loss when she decided to embark on Agatha Christie's Miss Marple journey, where she inherited a role that had already been inhabited at least 3 times definitively by Margaret Rutherford, Angela Lansbury and Joan Hickson.
50,000.
Yes, but you don't think that...
Murder has been done for a good deal less.
McEwan was initially extremely nervous. She seemed to belong to everybody but me. I had been watching Joan Hickson in the part only 6 months before when I was shopping for a television in John Lewis. She was wonderful, but I tried not to think about how others played her. I decided to be Marple in my own way, as lighter and flightier, with a twinkle, McEwan recalled. Because it's no challenge to copy someone.
A second murder?
If you've committed one, why not another? Or even a third?
This new Miss Marple was an open-minded woman of the world who suddenly has a past and experience of love and the pain of losing. Remember, she kisses the image of her long-dead lover, a married man who had been killed in the First World War.
An expert in romance as well, are you? I didn't think you were the type.
Don't judge a book by its cover, Mr. Gaskell. I assure you I never do.
Familiar books were given new plot twists, and there was even the odd lesbian embrace. McEwan felt sure the author would have approved. I do enjoy playing very original and slightly eccentric characters. It is very amusing that Agatha Christie should have created this older woman who lives a very conventional life in a little country village and yet spends all her time solving violent crimes.
Do you have an explanation?
No. Not yet. I can't help feeling that it's important.
While this new approach to the old-time favorite character appealed to those who never saw Miss Marple on screens, the viewers who used to watch the series in the 90s and what's more remembered Margaret Rutherford, believed that it was something far away from the traditional Christie's canon. Well, no wonder, since Miss Marple is a national treasure in Britain and everyone feels very protective of her. Would you agree? As for me, I loved McEwan's Marple. She was warmer and more playful and sort of close to me in this series. When I was filming the video comparison about various Miss Marple actresses, I had to start analyzing and putting her next to her famous predecessors and followers. And then I saw that perhaps a McEwan's Marple, at least for me, looks like always wearing that sort of a conspirator smile, always the same. It somehow cut off many other dimensions of her character.
Most crimes, you see, are so absurdly simple. Quite sane and straightforward, in an unpleasant sort of way.
That's what I said in that video. I sort of fell into that trap of perceiving McEwan's Marple with a grain of sugar, if I may.
Have you enjoyed your stay in the Cotswolds?
I have, yes.
Do you feel, remunerated?
Not in the slightest. But I do feel rejuvenated.
Yes, of course.
Now I see that this illusion she conveyed to the viewers might have come from her theatrical career, where she was mostly associated with the skittishly comic characters. There is something in me that likes to play people who are foolish, pretentious and silly. People who think they're something they're not. The whole business of comedy is exciting just because it's dangerous, because you're walking a knife edge.
What can I get you? A lemonade, orange squash?
That's very kind of you, thank you. A ginger wine, perhaps. Gone quite chilly, hasn't it?
Ginger wine, please.
With just a splash of scotch.
And at the same time, this twinkle in her eye and the mischievous look on her face are something that set McEwan apart from other actresses who put on the sleuth lady head before and after her. Even Agatha Christie's grandson, Matthew Pritchard, believed that Geraldine has been a wonderful Miss Marple. She brought a humanity and playfulness to the role that worked beautifully in the context of the new approach we adopted for this ITV series. All in all, McEwan played the part for 5 years and 12 episodes, having taken on Miss Marple in 2004, remaining in the leading role until the drama's 4th series in 2009. These years have been extremely challenging and physically demanding for the actress. 12 hours a day filming, plus a long journey at each end of the day have been exhausting, even for a fit 75-year-old.
I'm sure he was up to something that night.
I'm sure he's up to something every night.
And when in 2008 McEwan announced her quitting, she revealed that her decision was influenced by a fall before Christmas in which she broke a hip. It is disappointing to have to pass the baton on, but I live with fond memories. It's been an absolute pleasure to work on the program since 2003. You know what just came to my mind? What if, unlike Joan Hickson, for example, Geraldine McEwan wasn't actually made for TV? I mean, she blossomed in the theatre world, yet seemingly wasn't mad about getting to the big screens and reaching wide TV audiences. Like, her personality was different, and she didn't thrive in the brighter limelight. Remember, she said that she felt uneasy at that Windsor County girls' school and sought her solace in theatre. Perhaps here it was all just the same? A little bit too much for the now aging actress, who had always tried to get rid of accolades too loud, and admitted she had turned down roles that might have made her a bigger star. No wonder there were rumors that McEwan allegedly turned down an Order of the British Empire in 1986 and the honor of the Dame of the British Empire in 2002, believing the honors should be reserved for heroes and voluntary workers, but she never confirmed this. Whatever the real reason, Geraldine didn't return to acting either on TV or on stage after she quit Agatha Christie's Miss Marple at the age of 76. She lived a very private life in her last 6 years and died peacefully in 2015 at the age of 82, not being able to recover from a stroke. Geraldine McEwan's career was long, fruitful, and yet hardly anyone could label it as straightforward and without alloy. She loved theatre and thrived on stage, yet constantly faced the daunting challenge of taking on famous characters firmly associated with other distinguished actresses. Her career spanned more than half a century. She definitely did it her way, not being afraid to make experiments, risking losing universal appeal, yet always trying to stay true to her own self. What a brilliant example of another life well lived. Thank you for tuning in for this episode about another great actor of the past. I hope you enjoyed these minutes with me, and we'll see each other in my other video. Bye!